What's up, everybody? How you doing? Look, we're on YouTube! The U-est of tubes! That's what we're on. It's crazy. I can't believe it. Forgot to open my window and I'm gonna die. Where'd you get all those cool emotes, man? Yeah, that's rad. I love those. Yo, Wholesome L. How are you guys doing that? Do I have those? I do. I have cute ones. Oh, neato. Is there a Let's Go one? I missed my Let's Go one. Are they gonna let me have custom emotes at any point? Gotta be, right? Coming? I like that one. That one's cute. Good to see you guys. Thank you for being here. If you notice, I've got a bit of a different look to today. You'll see this is the frame. I told you guys about this like a while ago. This is the frame that I got animated like a million years ago, and I haven't been able to use it because the other art hasn't come through yet. Blah blah blah. But I'm like, you know what? To celebrate coming on YouTube for the first time, I am going to put my fancy one on here. So if we ever get, if we ever get the a subscriber, it'll go and it'll do things. So yeah, there's game over. Oh, far out. I do get some custom ones. I mean, I gotta get to 500, then I gotta get to 1,000. But now let's see. How do I ban Ninja? You probably can because I made you a super mod. I got 3 super mods and I got 3 regular mods. So for now, that should be good, right? I mean, I got the fancy pants. Yeah, it's the fancy pants. Although, let's be fair. We all know I'm not wearing pants. The fanciest of pants. So, I'm glad you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here. I'm a little nervous, and I think we're all streamers except for Dragon, or at least we've tried. It's a little nerve-wracking to move from one place to another, right? You know what I mean? Like, I really wish we could restream. It doesn't make any sense why we can't restream. I mean, it makes sense, I guess, for the company, but at the same time, Twitch people are Twitch people and YouTube people are YouTube people. So it's a different vibe. So we'll see how it goes. I do know that oh, come on, brain. Oh yeah, you can't turn off the concurrent viewers. So I've literally had to like shut that window because there's no way I'm gonna have a giant number staring me in the face for the entire stream. That'll just make me crazy. I don't know why, but things are a little goofy. All right, there we go. That'll be better. Okay. Ba-dum. Wholesome L coming with the donuts. Yeah, no kidding, right? I've done a few streams on the YouTubes. Mostly it was a long time ago. I played Firewatch on YouTube. It was meant to be like a channel, not a channel reward, a Discord, Patreon reward thing, and it just didn't turn out very good. And so I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'm blah, blah, blah. But now this seems like the right thing to do. And heading over to YouTube. Is it weird for you? So being on the other side, all you Twitch people, are you is it weird? A little bit weird? I don't know. For me, it looks very normal. I can't change the size of the text, which I think is stupid. Literally, I can't make the chat text bigger, which I think is like, why? Why can't I make the chat text bigger? That's silly. Other than that, OBS looks basically the same. It's simpler. I'll give it that. It's simpler. I've only got like 10 things running instead of like 400 on Twitch. So just as weird as changing my mind from chess to checkers. Okay. That is so appropriate too. I'll tell you what, that is a really appropriate analogy because YouTube really is the checkers of streaming. It's not hyper complicated. It's not got a million different browser source insanity. It doesn't have like a crap ton of like mods you can do. Like, it's just get on stream, just go stream, right? And I mean, granted, it's not until I get to 1,000 that I'll be able to get super chats and all the rest of that jazz, I think. And so then that'll add a few more fun things to the mix. But right now, no, it's very simple. So what are we gonna do today? It's weird, but then I'm eating chicken and chili hot sandwich with fries. That's not weird. That's normal. Yeah. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna jump into a chat, a personal development chat about mentoring, and we're getting close to the end of that chapter, so we'll be moving into a different chapter soon. But I've been really enjoying talking about mentoring, and then when we're done the mentoring thing, we're gonna jump over to we're going to stay here for chat, obviously, to talk about it. But then we're going to jump over to Twitch, and we're going to keep going on Viewfinder. That's the plan, anyway. How was your weekend? It was Canadian Thanksgiving this week. So I got to, my family insisted I hang out instead of going on stream, which was good, because we did. I made some pie, and then we played way too much Mario Kart. Oh, man. I haven't played Mario Kart in forever. I bought it, and then I got, like, the pass where you get all the extra tracks as they come out. And then I just didn't play it for, like, 6 months. And so we played it yesterday, and so much fun. It's so much fun. It's not as fun with two people, because they split it down the middle. Instead of splitting it, like, horizontal, they split the game down the middle, and so you can't see the edges. It's actually way better with 4 players than it is with 2, because you can see the sides. You get way more view. Hi, Quiz! By the way, welcome. Good to see you, Samus. Hi. Hello, Pineapple. Hello, Ukulele. Glad you're here. I saw your are you following Ukulele for her shorts? I didn't even realize you were doing so many shorts, but I saw your ad lib? What'd you call it? Like, where you were like freestyling worship music? That was neat. Yeah, Dragon, I saw your post. So, my understanding is that you have the money secured? Improv, that's the word. You have the money secured? And so that way your dad can get the operation? Because I know that he was back and forth on it. Does that mean that we're good now? Are we happy? Are we good? Another, what else? Yes, so, let me think. Oh, actually, hey, Gibraltar, yes, thank you very much. Gibraltar, you were supposed to be a mod. Why are you not a mod? There you go. All my mods are showing up. The entire chat is blue. Except for Wholesome L and Quiz. Quiz, you want to be a mod? You want to join the cool kids? Everybody gets to be a mod today. Anybody who shows up, there's the incentive. You show up, you get to be a mod today. How about that? Hey, Scott. Also known as Ransom. Hi, Ransom. Testing 1, 2, 3. Hello. Oh yeah, I was gonna ask the mods. You don't have to wait 15 seconds, do you? Right? Because you're a mod? Like your slow mode isn't connected? Not a mod, and that's fine? Yo, Rizu! Hello, good to see you. We're going to be doing leadership development, personal development. If you don't know who I am, I should wait just a minute for chat to kind of fill up. Because, you know, the wait. Okay, cool. That's good. No, yeah, I know. It's just a wall of blue, the thick blue line, if you will. The protective thick blue line that I have. Not only will nobody be able to mess with me, but actually that's not true. Everybody in chat can mess with me. That's what can happen. Ukulele could probably turn off my stream if you wanted to. Change the name. I know, right? It's weird. It's weird to see someone's name. Like when Scott went by, right? I just happen to know who he is, but it's weird to see your name. And for me, for a long time, I was like Al Deschino. Like my real actual name was in chat, and then I'm like, that's probably not a good idea. Well, actually, Ukulele, we have to learn new names. No. what we're going to do is we're going to make everybody else change. That's what we're going to do. Everybody go change your usernames to the ones on Twitch so we can figure out who you are. That's what... That's the only way it's going to work. Because remembering who you are in two different places, it's impossible. That's just not possible. Okay, yeah. I will tell you what, instead of me being jumping straight into it, why don't I take a little bit of time at the beginning here to kind of let you know who I am, what I do, why I'm here, and then we can get into the topic. If you have any questions, by the way, if you don't know, you can. This is AMA. Ask anything you want whenever you want. I left the chat on, so when you come back to the stream and you want to watch it, the chat will still be there, so that'll work out. Obviously, it's here, but it'll, you can see what people were chatting and whatnot. Yeah, it's a lot of blue. Isn't that crazy? A lot of blue. So blue means mod. So if I type, I am red, right? I get to be red because awesome. But other than that, yeah, I'm super stoked about this. My name's Al. I'm known as XtianNinja Online. This is my first official stream, my first YouTube stream that is where I'm going to be teaching or doing any kind of length of time interacting with chat. The last time I did this, it was just a game. We're playing Firewatch, and there was one person there and whatnot, and so it really wasn't that big a deal. But I'm XtianNinja. The mission here, the tagline is to build an encouraging community through gaming, real talk, and God's truth. And that's what I'm trying to do. I do that for all the people online that are looking for that kind of community, that are, sick of the yuck and sick of the difficult, whatever, you know what I mean? Like the darkness on Twitch or on YouTube or online. And they want to find a place where they can have meaningful content. They can get a little bit of discipleship training. They can connect to a really positive community. Because we have probably the best community on Twitch. If you go to the Discord, which I don't even know how you would do that. I will figure that out, because I'm like, you got to go to Twitch and click the Discord button, unless one of the mods wants to copy paste it. If you go to the Discord that we're in, it's one of the best Discords on the internet, because everybody's positive. We worked really hard to raise up some really kind people, good leadership. That are engaged, engaged with conversation, engaged in prayer requests, engaged in doing the memes and all that stuff. It's an active Discord, and so that's part of it. But here, what I do generally is I teach. I was a preacher for 16 years, and so and a leadership development dude. And so what I do here is I just carry over. I'm not going to do another Devo. If you go to any Christian stream or Christian anything, you're going to find the Devo. But we're not going to do a Devo. We're going to do what's biblical discipleship training, leadership, creator training. The second thing I do, actually, before I do that, I'm going to read chat. For me, you're black, but with a yellow box. Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, that's true. If you like the stream when you first get in, tell YouTube algorithm that you like it, and XtianNinja. Oh, yeah, that's true. Hit the like button for sure. I have not. Hey, Sonic. I have not set up any. Actually, I should go to the bot and set up a few commands, because I didn't do that yet. I was just trying to get on. And yesterday it was supposed to be kind of the trial, and then I was going to figure it all out. So today's the trial, and we'll figure it all out. Yeah. Oh, the second thing I do, I am the executive director of the Alliance for Creative Outreach, TACO, the Alliance for Creative Outreach. And what we do is we go and we find, and we hope to stumble across Christian content creators, not just streamers, but Christian content creators, artists and musicians, people who are live streamers, people who make YouTube videos. And we do what many different places won't, and that is hold them accountable and train them up. I do a 10-week training course where we go through a big pile of questions about who your audience is, who God created you to be, what kind of talent you have, how to effectively set up your schedule, how to communicate with people the best possible way so that they feel loved, how to set your priorities. Like, we do the whole thing. It's not how to run your OBS. It's fundamental stuff about you, about God, and about your audience. And once you can figure that out, the rest is gravy. So that's what we do. So this is the live stream. Then we do the taco stuff later, and we're gonna. The way that this is gonna work is that I'm gonna teach on YouTube, and I'm gonna throw it over to Twitch for the gaming. We'll see how that goes. I'm gonna try this experiment for a while. It's gonna be a little while to see what happens, because obviously, I mean, anytime you make a change like this, it's gonna be. You have people that are that hear it and they're excited about it and don't want to make the transition. You've got people that hate the idea and will never make the transition, and then there's a bunch of mushy middle that are going to eventually do it. If you know the bell curve, I guess. The bell curve here is you've got like the 10% here, and you've got like the 40% here, right? And then I think 10 here. Did I do the math right? No, I did not. Like 35% on either side, and then you got 10 in the middle. So it's like you got early adopters. 10% of the people will be early adopters and ready to go. 10% of the people over here will never change their mind, even if you paid them money and beat them with a stick. They will not do it. They've got 35% of the people who really don't feel like it, and they don't even look into it or whatever. They're really hard to convert. This 35% is the kind that basically are. They don't check their messages, but they're willing to do it. Fine, whatever. They're not really hyped about it, but okay, eventually they'll come around to it. And then there's that 10% in the middle that you have no idea what to do with. they do whatever they want, and we don't know how to help them. So if we can get 10% of my usual followership here, then that'll be good for the first day. If we can get up to 45% within a week, then mission accomplished, right? Then we've made as good a successful conversion as we possibly can. And then after that, we'll work on dragging that other 45% over somehow, probably through good content and consistent streaming. We'll see how that goes, though. Yep, Dragonheart's. Yeah, you're part of the 10%. Samus is 10%. Ukulele was part of the 1%. She she actively made the channel work. So yeah, cool. I'll tell you what. Why don't I flip over to the quote unquote content, and then we'll keep going in that. Feel free to interrupt at any time. It's always an AMA. Ask me whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want. It's not going to bother me to be interrupted. I tend to get on a train and just kind of go. And so if you want to knock me off the tracks, it's totally fine. I'm fine with that. Let's make the flip over. That one. Okay. We're going to load up this guy. Nope. Come on, help me out here, computer. Be nice. Windows is always trying to be so helpful, you know what I mean? Like it's always like, can I make that bigger for you? Can I change around your windows? It's like when you move a picture on Word and the entire thing goes and like it destroys your entire document because Word's trying to be smart and help you. You wouldn't think that it would be like that today, but it is. It absolutely is every single time. I've got actually, you know what I can do? What's kind of cool? I think I could put chat literally right next to what we're doing here. That would be interesting, would it not? There's chat. Neato. I can read along and I don't have to look at different screens. I don't mind adopting. Just let me eat my chili chicken sandwich first so I don't have to share. Dude, chili chicken, right? So you've got hamburger chicken, obviously beef or hamburger chicken. Yeah, that's it. Hamburger chili. Chicken chili, does that mean it's only got chicken? Doesn't have hamburger? Is it ground chicken or chunk of chicken? Right? I had this amazing chili, Data God. If you know the channel, Data God made this crazy good pineapple chili. We had a chili competition at the church one time. He came in and he brought this pineapple sweet, hamburger meat chili, and I'm like, it was dessert. It was so good. Every other chili is like a letdown now. It's like if I go and I have chili from every other place, it tastes like chili, and I'm like, that doesn't taste like pineapple dessert nearly at all. So he's a good cook though. Like he smokes his own cheese, and he has he does his own meat. I've watched him cook. He's got all the things flying and oils and stuff. It's fun to go to his house to eat. Tell you what. Yeah. Chicken shawarma. Oh, that's so good. Man, I love me some shawarma. It intimidating though. Can I be honest here? It's a little intimidating to try to order shawarma because there are a bunch of things in there that I've never seen and I have no idea how they work. Legitimately, I go there and I'm like, okay, cool. Purple, white, some of that green over there. Like, I just order by color, man. All right. Tell you what. Let me pray, and we'll jump into what we're talking about today. God, thank you for bringing us together in this new location. It's difficult to understand how to move in the digital sphere. Every change is a risk, but at the same time, if it's something that you will bless or something that you have commissioned, it will lead to something good. Everything you do, everything you allow, even stuff that we don't like, leads to something good. You can redeem the worst parts of our life into things that change others, that make us effective. The parts that we would erase and parts that we would run from, the parts that we would never wish on our worst enemy. When they're turned over to you, you can redeem them. You can change them. You can make them so that they're not a dark waste, but instead become fuel for changing lives and bringing you glory. My prayer is that this stream would bring you glory, that YouTube would be a place where others can stumble across us and get to know what we're all about and join Taco and join a community and become friends and change their perspective on what the internet can be like. God, I pray that as we do the discipleship, that you draw people who have been left behind by their church, left behind by their faith community, people who have been looking for a pastor, looking for someone to kind of connect to, but have social anxiety or mental health issues or learning disabilities that prevent them from going. Help them stumble across us. You are the miracle worker who can make the very noisy internet a place that has focus. Regardless, whatever happens, we want to be here and love each other because you loved us first. In Jesus' name, amen. Is it me or are the emotes way higher res? Am I crazy? They certainly look like they're higher resolution. All right, tell you what we're talking about today is the process of training leaders. Now, this is they see. Okay, I mean, sure. I don't know. It just looks clean to me. The process of training leaders. We're gonna kind of scratch that out though, because it's not really the process of training leaders that we're talking about necessarily. It's the process of training anybody. This is just how you train anybody. You want to train your kid. You want to train your like a fellow employee. You want to train somebody who is a volunteer. This is the system that you do in order to train that person, make it so that they can effectively do the job that you want them to do. Now, if you are a mentor or you're a mentoree, this is the system that you kind of are taken through so that you can become who God created you to be within the model and understanding of who that mentor is working with you, right? So if you're a mentor, this is going to help you. If you're a leader or a trainer, this is going to help you. I hope to also take it from the perspective of what it's like to be on the other side, the trainee or the mentoree, whatever that is. There's 5 steps that we're going to talk about. The step 1 is model. I'll just read it. The process begins with the mentor doing the tasks while the mentee watches. Be sure to give the mentee the opportunity to see the whole process. I'm going to highlight that too. Too often the mentor begins in the middle of the task and confuses the mentee. Yes, that is the thing. That is a confusing thing right there. We're going to make that a different color. We'll make that, get that like almost red. When the mentee sees the task performed correctly and completely, it demonstrates the process to imitate. This is such an important part of the step. We tend to fast forward this one because we want the job done, right? So we've got, mop the floor, okay. How do you mop the floor? Well, and he pulls out the mop and he starts doing that and he does a few things like just do that, okay, and then throws in the mop and says let's go. And unfortunately, that it started halfway through the system, And then the person standing there like, okay, the next time he asks me to mop, I don't know where the bucket is. And I don't know where it goes when I'm supposed to put it away. And I don't know, like how much water I'm supposed to use. And I don't know where the soap is. And do I even use soap? And, is there anything else I need to know? Got across and I came across this spill and I spent 5 minutes trying to scrape it off. And you find out that it's always been there and will never leave. Like the system, whether you like it or not, as a trainer or as a leader, as a mentor, the big part up front is making sure that you walk alongside, walk with, help people to be able to see what you do, right? It's not just about trying to train this person into something that God, created, or trying to make them a really good employee or make them a really good, kid or student or whatever. It is about helping them to understand how the whole big process, the minutia, works in this world by seeing how you deal with it. So, for example, if for me as a pastor, one of the things that I didn't get, hi Crossing Tommy, good to see you. One of the things that I didn't actually get when I was going through school was a mentor. I tried. Remember, if you know my story, part of it is that I kept kind of guiding my own path. You know what I mean? Like I was like, I'm going to go pick my own mentor. I'm going to pick all my classes. I'm going to pick my major. I'm going to pick, whatever. And eventually it just got me all messed up because I didn't know what I was doing. I got to like third year seminary and I still didn't know what I was supposed to be doing with all this education and what God was going to have me do, until I kind of let go and God pointed me at preaching and pastoring. But up till that point, I really didn't have a good model. I didn't have a good mentor. What I did is I'd went and I'd found people that I thought I'd like that ended up either burning out, screwing up, or not knowing how to do the job, or not someone I should mentor, right? It was or I should mentor under. And I ended up, when I got to my first church, and I was there for, age, 25, whatever I was little. And I'd never done never done communion before. I'd been to a board meeting before. I'd never done a funeral before or a wedding before. I didn't know what Robert's rules were. I didn't know anything. I knew how to preach, and that's it. I knew how to play guitar, I guess. But other than that, there really wasn't much. And Crossing Tommy, yeah. Did I know I'd be a Twitch pastor? Like, no. Kind of, but no. I see, because here's the thing, and again, if you go listen to the video that's on this channel somewhere, that has my story. It's called Punching Bag Preacher. The beginning of my story is I'm a Christian nerd, right? And like literally, when I was 10 years old, my dad got his first Tandy computer, and I was a nerd, and I loved it, and it just immediately captivated me, and I wanted it to be something that was part of my life. And so all the way through school and all the way through high school, and like I loved it, loved the computer thing. And it wasn't until I went into Southern Alberta Institute of Technology, which for computer programming, I learned that I really don't like the work of computer programming. I just like what computers do. And then I was total identity crisis, didn't know what to do with myself, because it's all I'd ever thought I wanted to do was computer science. And I ended up failing, went to Bible college, and that's where God kind of got a hold of my heart, and he said, stay here. I assumed all the way through that it was going to be knitting together. Like literally I did. The knitting together my nerdness and my Christian mission thing, right? I knew I was going to be Christian something, but I didn't know what. And so all the way along, I'm doing my classes, and I'm volunteering to do various tech stuff, or I'm trying to put together things. My first real job was putting together a multi-site, video venue thing. I was a computer media minister for somewhere. That was kind of my whole thing. And it wasn't until I let go that God's like, no. I don't want you in your comfort zone. I want you out of your comfort zone. Go into the pulpit. And I stayed there for 16 years. I was a leader, out of my element, out of my depth, completely petrified for a decade every time I stepped into the pulpit. And I didn't, because, and again, coming back to what we're talking about, nobody walked with me. I was walking alone, trying my best to try to figure out you know, what did God want, and then trying my best to try to figure it out myself and beginning, what do I want, you know? And it ended up nobody was walking with me. I'm a weird guy. I freely admit that. Trying to mentor me, I don't know if they talked about it and just kind of went, you know what? No. But it was definitely, you know, like there wasn't anybody out there who was a super nerd who loved media and video and computer and internet and programming and all the rest of that stuff, and also was passionate about ministry and pastoral counseling and missionary work. It didn't exist. And so I went into traditional missions. And then 16 years later, you know, 3 years ago, as everything kind of, you know, you remember what happened back in the day. God knit together those two things. You know, he's like, okay, here finally, almost like what I created you to be when you were 10 years old. I needed you to go through all this training and all this stuff, do things the hard way, go through, you know, like this accelerated system, so that when you're ready to go, age 43, you're going to be able to affect people's lives online, because you'll have the nerd stuff, but you'll also understand the Bible, and you'll have so much life experience through mental health and abuse and suffering and going through incredibly difficult church times, that you'll actually have something to say. So my mission, and if you recall, I've talked about this before. When I first started the channel, the Twitch channel, it really was all about, how can I go online and be nice to people while playing some video games and chatting, just like everybody else, just like every other Christian streamer thought, you know what, nobody's on Twitch, there's no other Christians on Twitch or on the internet, therefore I will be it myself, and I will create a safe environment for people and nerds and people on Twitch. That's like literally the mission. And that's what everybody starts with. And if you, like, literally everybody here probably who did streaming thought the same thing. So I went off, and I you know, that's what I went. And it lasted about 5-6 months before I started meeting and understanding and really praying through and thinking about what God wanted from me. And as I stumbled across more and more what they call, quote unquote, lost sheep, which means people who are Christians but don't have a church, people who had a church but left their church, and more content creators that were passionate about serving Jesus, passionate about making community, loving people online, passionate about caring for gamers and bringing healing to the gaming community, that had talked to their pastors, talked to their denominations, and were just told, just poo-pooed, like, no, you can't, don't do that, it's dumb. And so they went and did it anyway. My heart started to break for the people who were like me when I started ministry, and that was untrained, unmentored, not held accountable, having to figure it out all by myself, and doing it all the hard way. You know what I mean? Yo, Caleb, thank you for coming. I appreciate it. How you doing, Cloud? Thank you for coming by. Yeah, and so as we developed Taco, one of the biggest things that we wanted to do was to make it not like anything else. We didn't want it to be, you know, anybody can join and go ahead and we'll just, you know, if you have a problem, let us know. We want it to be terribly intentional. Because of my past and because of our heart for what we see in the Christian creator community, we wanted it to be intentional, have high standards, have an accountability structure, and have a mentoring and training system. It was critical because it's not out there. So when we do this training thing, this is the system that we're kind of working through, and this is the system that everybody would work through regardless. I think of, you know, Tommy, she's got the Hopeful Disasters group, right? And I'm certain, and I speaking out of my butt here maybe, but you probably have a heart online for people online, and you want to model to them what it's like to be a person of faith. You want to gather them together and care for them, and you want to help them to take the next step toward what God wants them to be. Like I have no doubt in my mind that that's what you want from that group too. This is the system. This is what we're going to do. So step one of the process of training leaders really is to model it. I didn't have a model. So what I did, and I know this is true, it's critical, is that I'm a streamer. I continue to stream. I keep trying to be a good streamer. I keep trying to make my stream better and better and better, so that when folks come to see what I do, they don't just see me talking about how to stream. They actually see me streaming. They actually see me on social media. They see what I'm putting together for videos. They see, what I'm doing as a social media person, because I'm one of them. The hope is that if I can do it right, and if, trying to, they can actually see how it's done and ask questions and know that I care about them and I'm one of them. In the same way, anybody who you want to raise up, whether it be your kids, or whether it be your student, or whether it be a fellow employee, or someone at church, they have to walk alongside you. They have to see what you do. And like I said there, the whole process, right? We often have people that we train, but we, like, for example, we won't let them come see the meeting because it's, a closed meeting, or because it's like, we think it's going to be boring. Or we go tell them, go write this thing down, or go make this thing, or go design this thing. And we show them, this is what I made, but we don't show them the process of how we came up with it. It's like trying to make it like mine, right? We don't show them how to go through it. So, and one of the problems with this is that it's incredibly time consuming, because you're doing all the work. They're just kind of standing there watching. I think of how many dads, certainly, like, we all know people, at least who know dads, who all the kid was able to do was hold the flashlight, right? They were in the garage, and they were next to the stuff that was happening, but their job was to hold the flashlight. And so there was no engagement there. It was just, thank you for being in the room with me, but it wasn't, hey, this is what I'm doing, and hey, this is why I'm doing it, and this is the plan, and this is where we're going, and this is why it's important, right? It was just, now you've seen, here, go change your oil. Like, you watch me change the oil. I'm like, yeah, but you never really took me through it. So number one is model. We have to do that correctly and completely, not just part of it, but completely. Then you can start doing the process. Step 2, to mentor. That is obviously how to train. Well, you got to train them, and then you got to mentor them. During this step, the mentor will continue to perform the task, but this time the mentee comes alongside and assists in the process. Take the time to explain not only the how, but also the why of each step. That is so important. That is so important. And it's something that we mess up all the time. There should be lots of communication happening. So here's how I do it, blah, 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 and I do the thing. This is how I do it. Okay, now you do it, and let's talk about it. I will come alongside you and I'll watch you do it, which, again, time consuming. You as a leader, you as a parent, you as a trainer, you as a student, or whatever you're trying to raise up, you have other things to do. So sitting here and duplicating the task is actually difficult for a lot of active mentors, active leaders, active people, because they're like, I don't want to stand here. The reason I hired you, or the reason that I brought you here, the reason that, is because I want you to take over a job, is because I want you to help with the system, not so I can stand here and watch you do something. But if you want it done right, and you want it done consistently, and you want it done with understanding, and for that person to be able to adapt to whatever changing situation is coming before them, you gotta you gotta show them, and then you gotta stand next to them while they do it. And it's so critical to get to the explain not only how, but why. This is where most people fail in teaching, instruction, and training. They often talk about the how. You're going to need this kind of wrench, or you're going to need this kind of tool, and you're going to turn this, and then you'll do that, and then you'll pull that out, and then you'll push it back in, and then you'll do it again. Or, this is how to write a proper thing, or this is how to attend the meeting, and this is how to write a talk, or whatever. And it helps, kind of get in the process under your wings to go, okay, I get the process now. I can kind of replicate the process. The problem is, if you don't understand why you do it that way, or why it's important to do it that way, or why we started doing that way, or then you've disserviced the mentoree, because they won't be able to work on the fly. They won't be able to adapt what they're doing. They won't be able to put their personality into it. They won't be able to to understand how, in the big picture, be able to figure out this is important and set my priorities and set what they're doing, because they don't really know why it's happening. If you want a bunch of automatons that you have to keep looking over their shoulder, then, show them how to do it and then tell them how to do it and then stop. But all they're going to do is just robotically keep going. And then you're going to be frustrated because you're like, well, why didn't you know to do this? Why didn't you think about that? How, didn't you understand it? And the answer is no, they didn't understand, right? You told them to use 6 of them. So we used 6 of them, right? And then when there was only 4 of them, they were like, well, we got to order more. And so ordered, more. And you ended up like, well, if you'd have done this, or you didn't know that we this, or like whatever, there's a million different ways that this could go. But essentially, as a parent, as a teacher, as whatever, explaining the why is important. Think of a parent talking to a kid, right? Go clean your room, right? Here's how to clean your room. Let me show you how to clean your room. Okay, now you clean your room. Okay, cool. Good. Now, when you do this, here's how the vacuum works, and here's how to dust, and here's where we keep the Windex or whatever. Go clean your room, and the kid will be able to clean the room, right? But what's more important? The kid that is able to go through the motions of cleaning the room, or the kid that understands why having a clean environment, why keeping their room clean is important, why they use this chemical on that, why they have to dust, why it's important for guests, and why it's important for allergies, and why is it important for their mental health, and why is it important for the rest of the family, and what is the reason we do this? Because most of the time they just think I got to keep my room clean or I get in trouble. But if it's actually, you show love to people through doing this, you show care to people, you keep yourself healthy by doing this, you develop organizational skills, and eventually as you flourish, this will come in handy because you won't be chasing your tail every time you try to find what you need. Like, it's going to adapt and help you in life. Like, to be able to understand that on a deeper level, to really grow with it, you have to understand the why. It takes a long time. And I would wonder if one of the reasons is because many of the people who train don't know why. In fact, I think we've all probably taken that job where we're getting trained and the trainer goes, so we do this, blah, 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 blah. And I don't know why, but that's what we do. I used to work at a mill. And I worked at a mill for 5 summers, and there was a lot of that. It was, okay, go do the thing. All right, I'd go do the thing, and they just like, okay, so I don't know why we do this, but if you don't do it, the machine won't work. So do this and do that, do this, do that. Then the machine works, right? I couldn't troubleshoot that. I don't know how the machine works. I don't even know what buttons I'm pushing or what the machine does. I just know that ... and I have to do that at 2:00 in the afternoon. And if I don't do that, then we're in trouble, right? I used to do something called, what was that called? I can't remember. But anyway, the job was, I had a giant iron pipe, really, really thick iron pipe, and I would go climb to the top of what was called the reclaimer, which is a giant, scary furnace full of just like, it's like 1 billion degrees in there, and it's burning what's called black liquor. Black liquor is what's left over after you purify or after you bleach paper, right? So where's all the gunk that isn't paper going, right? Well, it's turning into black gunk. And so they take the black gunk and they put it into this big machine, and that big machine is what it creates power. The power is part of the mill, so it's like comes back. Well, my job for a summer was to take a giant iron pipe, and I'd go upstairs, open up a flap, and bang on a piece of stone that was stuck on the wall that was right in front of the hole. Bunk, bunk, bunk. And I did that for a long time before I'm like, what am I doing? And because I was curious, right? It's night shift, so I didn't ask a lot of questions. But when I had a chance, I sat there and I'm like, okay, so what am I doing exactly? Like, I know it's important. You told me to do it every hour, but why is it important? I don't understand. And the guy is like, well, you're the first summer student to ask, right? Let me tell you, what you're doing is, this is where all the air flows through, and the black liquor, because it's so sticky and messy, it sometimes gets stuck on the wall and creates stalagmites that block off the air. So your job is actually to knock off those stalagmites so the air can get to the furnace. That's what you're supposed to be doing. And the reason that you go over to this nozzle and you make sure it's pointed the right direction is because if it's angled the wrong way, it really causes problems. So you got to make sure it's angled properly. Sometimes it gets hit with a stalagmite and moves, and it's a big mess, and we don't like that. I'm like, okay, cool. Absolutely. I understand now. And so it was, before it was like, well, what if I only did it every 2 hours? What if I only did it every 3? What if I didn't do it at all? Like, what's the worst that can happen? I don't know. Right? But now I'm like, oh, if I don't do it, those stalagmites are going to get bigger and bigger and then become almost impossible to knock off. I get it. Okay, cool. I need to know the why. Ukulele says, if you don't know the why, then you don't know if it's important to do it right or to report if there's a problem. That's true too, right? You won't have any idea why it's important or what's important. Step 3, monitor. That essentially means you look over their shoulder, right? At this point, the mentor and the mentee exchange places. The mentee performs the task, and the mentor will assist and correct. It is especially important during this phase to be positive and encouraging to the mentee. It will help the mentee to keep trying and wanting to improve rather than give up. Work together and develop consistency. Once the mentee understands the process, have him or her explain it back to the mentor. The explanation will reinforce the process in the mentee's memory. So essentially, this is the consistency, right? This is, again, a time-consuming thing where it's, okay, you do the task, I'll watch you do the task, as in the mentor is watching the mentee do the task, and then they keep up looking over their shoulder to make sure they're still doing it correctly, and they step in when not. They walk with them for a while. How many people here have been told to do something and end up being told to do it once and then left alone, left to do it, right? You're like, do you get it? Do you know what you're saying? Okay, I get it. Okay, bye, I have things to do. And you take off and they're gone. And then they don't look over your shoulder for 4 months. And then they come back and it's like, what have you been doing? I thought I told you to do this. And like, I don't think you mentioned doing that. And wow, you didn't know, you didn't see this problem? Like, no, I was told to do this. I didn't even look for a problem, right? The reason that you spend a bunch of time monitoring is because you want to be able to see if the person understands the why and understands the how and is able to consistently perform whatever the task is. You have to check in. You have to ask questions. How's it going? What's going on? If we back this up, right, and we stop talking about mopping the floor, but instead talk about something more serious, like getting over an addiction or fixing your relationships or getting along with your parents or doing something substantially different, how to read God's word or how to take time to really pray and really get to know God in prayer. This is the same system, right? The same system. It's let them see you do it, right? Let them show them your journal, show them your Bible, show them, how you highlight and what you do and what your system is and what book you learned that from. Show them, show them your marriage. Have them come over and talk to your wife or husband and sit there and talk. This is what we do and this is what happens when we fight and this is the way it goes, right? Or have them come and go, okay, I was part of this system or part of the addiction, or I had an addiction. I wasn't doing the same thing you had, but here's what I did. Let me show you the internet blockers, or the reason that I have a lock on that cupboard, or the reason that, we don't have snacks in the pantry or whatever. Come see, come witness, and said, watch me walk in it. And so as you watch me, when I get angry, when I get sad, when I get frustrated, I'll tell you, right? I'll tell you. I am so frustrated today. I'm so exhausted today. I really want to go and do the stupid thing, or I really want to, skip, or I really want to go and be angry and take it out on somebody. That's happening inside of me right now, but I'm not going to do it. And I think you understand why. And so let's talk about this together, right? And then as the mentor continues to come around, or mentoree rather, starts to see that, you go, okay, let's talk about you and let's talk about your place in this and how you're going to change this part of your life, or whether it be, you know, prayer or addiction or whatever, changes that relationship. Let's talk about that. What do you want, and why do you want it, and why is it important to you? And let's walk through that together. And then later monitor, how's it going with that? Right? Every addictions counselor, every single life coach is going to tell you the same thing, that if you don't have accountability and there's nobody looking over your shoulder, you're going to fall. You're going to fail. You'll make it through day 1. You might make it to day 3. Maybe you'll make it to day 7. But after a week, right, that white knuckling that you have to try to get this thing fixed isn't going to happen anymore. You need someone who you trust, who you know loves you, who you know has your best interest at heart, who you know has a level of authority and respect, to look over and say, how are you doing? Let's talk about that. I'm going to check in on you regularly. How have you done with your anger? How have you done with your addiction? How have you done with your relationships? How have you talked to your mom? Have you, what did you do with your anger? Let's talk about that, because I want to see how it's going. If you want to have a mentor, then you have to understand that it's going to take time. We talked about this before a while back, and that's one of the commitments of mentoring is that you're committed to a person, a singular person, a one person, or very few, because it takes a bunch of effort. How are you supposed to hold a dozen people accountable to a dozen, and they're all going to have 5 different problems and 5 different things, and to hold them all together and remember all their stuff? Like, you just can't. You don't have the ability, because you have things to do as well, right? You just can't commit to somebody in that way, which is why it says, small groups, really small, like 1 or 2, so that you can take this step of modeling, mentoring, and monitoring and really work it out. Because if you're trying to stretch this over 50 people, you're trying to stretch this over an entire class of 32, you're going to end up failing all of them, because you won't have checked in, because you won't ask deep questions, because you'll forget what that person was doing and your notes aren't, sufficient, and you're not going to be mentoring them. So it's not worth it. It is far better to grab 1 or 2 and really dig in and take the time than it would be to try to do 32 at once. Step 4 is to motivate. At this point, the mentor will step out of the task and relinquish the responsibility to the mentee. The assignment to the mentor is to make sure the mentee has the knowledge to do the task and the encouragement to continue to improve. It is important for the mentor to stay with the mentee until success is realized. This will motivate the mentee to make improvements in the process, right? This is where you go from explaining it and walking alongside of them and calling them on the phone and seeing how they're doing to a cheerleader, right? Like you spend more time going, this is well done. This is really good. Like you've demonstrated the knowledge, you've demonstrated how to do it, and you've really been working hard on that. And I can see you, because we've been working for a year on that accountability, I can see changes in your life, right? I'm going to keep looking in. I'm going to keep, keeping you encouraged. I'm going to keep walking alongside you. But I want you to know, man, you're doing a really good job. And as they see you not just going, hey, that's wrong, hey, that's wrong, hey, that's wrong, hey, that's wrong, like you were at the beginning, suddenly they'll have or not suddenly, but over time, they will have the confidence to be able to say, you know what, maybe I am changing. Maybe the good things are happening. Maybe it's not just I'm losing my mind all the time, or I'm always running to this addiction. In fact, it has been a long time since, in fact, I'm much better relationship with, in fact, things are going really well. It's my mentor no longer is looking over my shoulder, no longer, doing this thing. He's actually trusts me and has let me do this task. That feels really, really good. In a work environment, same thing, right? Like, good job. You know how to do the thing. You know how to mop the floor. I showed you how to do it, and you did it, and I watched you do it, and then I corrected what we were doing wrong, and now I'm like, you know what? You got it, man. You're a good mopper. Take care of it. And then once a week, once every 2 weeks or whatever, you make sure you come back and you go, hey, man, you've really done a good job keeping that thing mopped. Well done. It looks good. That consistency is what's going to keep them motivated and keep them working, right? It is harder than it seems. That's why I use it. It's because I'll tell you, the mop that's in my head is the big yarn one that weighs like 1,000 pounds and is like, it's like unruly and soaking wet. And you're like, and it's just spreading mud everywhere. And you're like, well, this isn't cleaning anything. What do I do? You know? Hey, River, good to see you, man. Welcome to the stream. Glad you're here. Yeah. This is also the step. It doesn't say this in the quote in the instructions or whatever, but this is also where you start the process over with something else, right? You've been working on the Bible study thing, or you're working on the addiction thing, or you're working on the marriage thing, or you're working on the do the stream properly thing, or whatever your thing is that you've been working on. And now they're getting it. You start back up here. And you start talking about something else. Well, now you got that under control. Let's talk about, whatever the next thing is that you gotta, and you kind of, let's talk about that. Now you got this thing under control. Let me introduce you to either a deeper version of it, or I've seen this crop up in your life, and this is the next thing we're going to work on. Or I have, this is something I think you're going to need to prepare you for later. So let me show you how to do it. Let me teach you why it's important. Let me watch you do it for a little while. Just got back from my pain management doctor. I'll be getting some injections in my neck now. Oh, wow. Injections in your neck. Like to help with pain? Or is that supposed to fix something? Like, is it medicine to help make the pain go away? Or is it actually repairing anything? All right, last step. Last step is to multiply. And this is obviously the whole point. This is, in the Christian church anyway, this isn't just evangelism. This is discipleship. This is walk in my... Oh, it's cortisone. Okay, so it's meant to help with the pain. So you're going to need those consistently. Okay. Well, did you get one? Did it work? Did they try it yet? Like, do you know how it feels? Like, we're talking about, multiply. And that's really what the Christian church is all about. It's about following in the footsteps of Christ, following in the footsteps of the apostles, as they walked with Christ. And then the church fathers who tried to follow in their steps, and then those who came after, and us eventually walking in the footsteps of Jesus as we've watched the mentor in our life, whoever that is, walk with them, so that we can be a model to them and help them grow in Christ. That's what we're here to do. In a work environment, you want that person to not have to be babysat all the time. You want that person to be able to go and train someone else. You want that person to be able to go and say, okay, I learned, when I was doing this, I learned how to mop, and you trust them to do it. You trust them to do it. You want them to be able to help others with their marriage or help others with their addictions. That's the mission, right? Yeah, maybe you continue to walk alongside them in other things, but the mission is not so that they become dependent on you. The mission is so that they can be dependable for other people, to be someone that other people can be mentored by. That's what we're shooting for. Not yet. Going to be scheduled in the next couple weeks. They have to... Oh, improve insurance. Yay. Yeah, I know, right? So I've got chronic pain, and they have a medicine that'll help with that. Can you please let them do that? It sounds so backwards. But I'm Canadian, so... once the mentee does the job well, the next step is for the mentee to become the mentor, right? The next logical step is for the mentee to become the mentor. As teachers know, the best way to learn something is to teach it. The beauty of the mentoring process is that it allows the mentor to move on to other important developmental tasks, while the new leader is now capable of fulfilling various roles, tasks, and leading others. You don't need to spend as much time with this person now. Yes, you check in now and again because you still care about each other, but you're not there consistently. In fact, you can have another mentor now. You can start all over this process with someone else because that person is now developed, right? They've grown up, and it's a good thing. And they're out developing others. The mission is to multiply. I think too many times you have these great leaders of this a pastor or an employer or whatever, and they feel like they want to feel necessary, and so they don't want to have employees, or they don't want to have church people or leaders that are on their own, that are doing better than them, that are, you know, further ahead than them, that don't need their supervision anymore. They feel as though they've lost something, and so they don't want to develop them into fully devoted, self-replicating disciples. You know, they don't want to turn them into someone who can become the boss of their own company someday. Their identity is in being that person's Messiah, that person's savior, that person's boss, that person who, you know, look at them go, aren't they great? Aren't I great because of it? And if they took off, or if they went and did their own thing, or other people were mentored by them, they would feel lesser somehow. But the mission is not to simply make someone dependent on us and guide them and hold them and be their shepherd. The mission is to come and so that they can become healthy enough, equipped enough, grow enough that they are able to move out from under your mentorship tutelage so that they can go and mentor others, right? It can be a bit of a difficult time because, you know, that empty nest parental separation thing, it happens with everybody. You get a really good employee and they're like, yeah, I'm going off to school. Thanks so much for taking the time to show me how to do this. I learned a lot. I'm going off to go be my own business. And like, man, that sucks. You know, it hurts my feelings to lose you because, you know, you're so good. But at the same time, if you're a good mentor, you're excited. You're like, man, that's great. I'm so excited for you. You've done such a good job. I wish you the best. And everything's celebratory. I've known, and you've probably known too, that the leader that actually sabotages their mentoree, right? The church that sabotages their own growth, the company that shoots themselves in the foot on purpose, subconsciously, but because they're scared of growth, they're scared of the next step, they're scared of starting over, they're scared of novelty or having something happen that they aren't in control of. There are plenty of, like, there's actually in church, so I'll talk about church since I know the most about it. There is a real thing that happens around when you get about 75 to 125 people. And if you're in a small church, right, say the church seats 150 or whatever, and you're in this church, and actually it doesn't really matter how many, even if you're a church of 20, same thing. So you get to about 80%. And what'll happen is the church will have an identity crisis because you're at that pivotal moment where the people who are new are about to become more than the people that are old, the people that started the thing. And so if they have the mentor mindset, they're like, man, look at us go. We've replicated. We're doing great. Look at all the people that we're helping. But if they don't have that, they will feel afraid. They will feel challenged. They'll feel like the culture of their church is changing and they're losing control of their church, and these new people don't understand. And so unconsciously, they will actually sabotage their own church, their own organization, offend the new people, right? Hunker down and really stick to their guns when it comes to no changing. And all of a sudden, little stuff like the carpet and the location of the piano and, you know, whatever is the biggest, most important thing in the history of the world to them. And the reason is because they are terrified to release control, to release their position, to release the future to the new people that have come into the church. They want to grasp back control. It's a legit thing that happens. I've watched it happen in the previous church that I was in. We were in the middle of nowhere. When I showed up, there were like 30 people that were there, and there's we didn't have a road sign, man. Like there was nothing pointing. We're in the middle of nowhere, and so therefore it was a cute little church. And after 4 years or so, we tripled in size. We were busting the walls. We were talking about how do we start another service? How do we, we had like 25 kids running around, families, and it was awesome. We were having this conversation about how do we hire a youth pastor? We got so many kids to deal with. And it was right then that this kicked in. That when we started talking about a new pastor coming on part-time, when we started talking about moving the diaconate or moving the board, getting the old people off because they didn't want to be there anymore. They've been there for 20 years, and to see if we can bring in some of the new people. That's where all of a sudden a lot of fights started happening. A lot of frustration started, a lot of confusion started happening. And you're like, why is everybody mad now? Why is so-and-so flipping out? Why is there so much gossip? Why is there so much slander? Why is so-and-so being so offensive? It doesn't need to be. It came out of nowhere. You were nice, and now everybody's scared of you. What happened? This is what happened. They didn't want to multiply. They didn't want to let go. And there are mentors who really struggle with this section too, and that is, their job is to raise up a mentor who can become a mentor. It's in the church, a job is to raise up a generation who can take over and grow and serve their community and show the love of Jesus to everyone else, because you're dead, because you're gone. You're too old to do it. And unfortunately, there are a lot of individuals who refuse to do that. They can't relinquish control. I can think of a time like it with Taco, where in the future, I'm this old fuddy-duddy who doesn't know what he's doing anymore. And if we've taken off and, we've changed the world, like I hope that we will, I'm going to have to let go. I'm going to have to find some new hotshot, super cool dude who loves Jesus and loves streamers and loves content creators to take over, right? I got to find another me and train them up and help them out. That's going to be, how's that going to feel? I don't know, right? I don't know. This is one of the things that I've done that has gripped my heart the most in my whole life. The idea of launching Taco and launching this channel, it's super important to me. So therefore, will I get to the place where I can let go of it? Maybe. I hope so. I know this is true, but I also know it can be tough. The goal is to replace ourselves. That's true. Yep. If I could just sit back and just watch the amazing things happen as a result of the people that I've raised up, how great is that? How great is that? Last of the line here says, a candle loses nothing when it lights another. Instead, it doubles its brightness. This is how mentoring works. Leaders invest their time and insight into an emerging leader and begin to multiply their effort. While the work seems slow at first, it grows at an exponential rate. And that's the if you remember back, who remembers Each One Reach One? Is there anybody in chat remember Each One Reach One? That was the idea. It was if you could just pour your life into one person, if you could just make one intentional friend, if you can just spend time with one other individual talking about your faith or talking about life or talking about morality or talking about big subjects, you don't have to try to change the world. You don't have to take on the entire neighborhood. You don't got to change the planet. You just got to talk to one person. Do you have the courage to talk to one person? That's what this is, right? Same thing. Do you have the courage to walk with one person, just one, to really pour into their heart, pour into their lives, and say, this is how to do it. This is how I would do it, and this is how I believe God does it, and this is how I see you in your life. And then it does. It's exponential growth at that point. It's exponential. But you're not in control of the third generation. They don't even know who you are. Maybe they've heard of you, but they don't know who you are. Is that okay with you? All right. That's the talk. I'll tell you what we'll do. I'm gonna head over to the Just Chatting screen, and we're going to talk about this. So if you have any questions or anything you want to bring up, and I've seen some really good points in chat, but talk about this process of modeling, mentoring, monitoring, motivating, and multiplying. If you want to chat about that and you got something you want to say, or maybe did you have a great mentor? Did you have a really crappy mentor? Did you have a trainer that did this for you? Did you have a teacher that did this for you, or one that you wish did? Or let's talk about that a little bit from the perspective of being the mentoree or even the mentor. Let me pray. God, thank you for the day. Thank you for your love, and thank you for walking with us. You are the perfect guide and the perfect mentor. You know us perfectly, and you even release power to us. You allow us to partner with you. You raise us up. You set us goals in advance. You keep us accountable. You walk alongside us. You gift us, and you care for us so much. God, help us to do that for others. There are so many people online that are crying out for love, to be trusted, to be trained, to be given value. Help us do that. Help Taco do that. Help everybody who's listening do that. Help me do that. It's hard to do because we don't know where to find them and they don't know how to find us. But we also believe that you are a miracle worker. And so we trust you. In Jesus' name, amen. So, hey Lizzie. Let's go. I'm gonna sit down, and then we can chat a little bit. Lizzie says, never really had a one-on-one mentor. It was more like a small group leader, though I always wanted to seek that one-on-one accountability, but was never really able to find it. You're not alone. In fact, I don't know very many people who have had an active one-on-one relationship with an older, more mature, more further down the line mentor. It's very rare. Very rare. In fact, we've talked about this a little bit before too. It's rare for two reasons. One is because the mentors don't want to do the job. They're too old. They don't really want to spend a bunch of time doing that. They don't know they're supposed to, whatever. And the mentorees, they're too afraid to really open up to somebody. They've been hurt by authority. They've been hurt by the institution. They've been hurt by religious people. And so the idea of opening their life up in a meaningful way for criticism or for education or whatever it is really hard for them. In fact, the whole environment that we live in right now in Western society is really anti-authoritarian, anti-institution, anybody who is not you and like you. You know what I mean? It's really hard, I would think now, for the mentors and mentorees to find each other. I don't know. How would you do it though? I'm glad you had a small group. That's good. Pineapple says, I think one other thing is to make sure you have enough time to be a mentor. There's nothing worse than having someone train you up how is always frustrated and just wants you to get it done immediately. Well, yeah. We didn't even talk about that. About how there are some people that want to mentor and it's for a bad reason. Right? Like there are bad mentors. Not everybody's a good mentor. There are mentors out there that do want to manipulate people, that have a messiah complex, that have some kind of axe to grind, and they just want a disciple to be just as angry as them, or who raise people up to be, or they don't know what they're doing and they just want to pretend they know what they're doing. Like there are bad mentors. I'm talking about my hope is to lean on the ones that, you know, to find the ones that are good. Dragon says, I had one, but it's in a subject I wish I could forget. Well, and that's it, right? Okay, so Dragon, when you were in your gang, right, back in the day, did they go through these steps with you? Right? Was it, they showed you how to do something? They walked alongside you in doing it. They made sure you did it right. They encouraged you in whatever way the gang does that to keep going, and then told you to go train someone else. Like, did that happen in the gang? Because I mean, that's literally the process for both sides. It's not just the Jedi that do this. It's the Sith too. Like it's everybody who this is the system that works with. Actually, you think about the Jedi. I know that I said that as a bit of a joke, but really the whole point. There's always one, right? There's always two. I guess what's Yoda's quote? There's always two, the master and the apprentice. Right? That is how an organization keeps going. Right? They make sure that they have an apprentice. It's really important. Jedi, Sith, Gray, somewhere in the middle. Yeah, okay. I suppose. And then you get a purple. Yeah. Or someone who takes the job off you and corrects it, but does not tell you where you have gone wrong, so you keep making the same mistakes. Yeah, actually, I mean, there are people like that too, who they want the attention and they want to be seen as the one who is doing things right, and so they'll actively like not train you properly, so that either you become dependent or you look worse, so that they look better. There's some pretty horrible people out there. That's why we got to be so careful in who we choose. Like, yeah, there is a reason that people today are anti-institution, anti-authority, whatever establishment. And it's because the institutions, the establishment, and the authorities have shown themselves to be corrupt. That's why, right? Like, you've got what organization can you even trust anymore? Like, the news used to be, well, if the news said it, it must be true. You know what I mean? Like, because the news is the news, and that's what they're supposed to do. And now when you realize how, they're just trying to sell ad space, and, they're trying to fill time, and they won't even hire people with a different opinion. You're like, okay, we can't trust the news, period. Anybody on either side. And so therefore that's not, so can we trust the church? Well, right now you've got, we've got all this crazy stuff happening in the Catholic Church, obviously, which is, and you got even in the Baptist denomination in the States, they did a little sweep of figuring out how much youth abuse there is among their churches, and they were shocked to see how much there was. And like that, how do you trust the church if consistently when you go digging through it, you find people that are really terrible? Or, your teacher, your university. Well, universities are all bankrupt, corrupt. They all want your money, blah, blah, blah. Let's not go to university, or who else? Like, where would you go for this these days? In Western culture, anyway. It's really hard. You don't trust the government. The government's not going to do anything. You don't trust your school. You don't trust your teacher, because your teacher, blah, blah, blah. Like, so where do you go to find a trustworthy mentor? It'd be really hard, which is why we're doing this, because online people are going to have a chance to really at least see me. We'll talk about myself. They'll be able to see what I do, what I speak, how consistent I am. They'll be able to go back and listen to a ton of how I talk and whatnot, and really get to know what I'm all about before they can make the decision to say, okay, I'll let this person's opinion matter, right? And then you've got people that did great, and then they blew up. They blew up their lives. Like, man, I thought that person was great. Turns out they weren't. Man, I had that happen a lot. It seems like every person I picked that I thought was a really cool church leader, Christian thinker, whatever, blew themselves to smithereens. And it's like, I'm like, man, I love Mark Driscoll. He's like the coolest, and I want to be just like him. Okay, I don't want to be just like him. Nope. Bill Hybels, man, he's a really good leadership developer, and I really like following his footsteps. Man, he sure did really cool stuff. Okay, maybe I won't follow in his footsteps. Ravi Zacharias, what a lovely, amazing, soft-spoken man who is so smart. Man, I wish I was as smart as he is. Nope. All right, he's not that smart. Right? It happened over and over and over. Paid life coaches are a thing. I'm skeptical. I mean, it's kind of like why there's a mental health crisis and we don't have enough counselors. It's because people are lonely. They don't build relationships with any kind of depth because of a dozen reasons, and so therefore the person that they talk to is their counselor. The person they talk to is their psychiatrist, their psychologist, their whatever. That's the only person they open up to. Why? Because they don't want to do it with their parents. They don't want to do it with their family members. And they don't know anybody else. And they're not going to do it with their fellow employees. And so the only person they can open up to is someone that they pay. It's just the sad truth, And trying to drag trust out of someone to develop that, hey, I'm not bad. I'm not going to blow up, and I do care. It's really hard. It's really, really hard. I'd like to be your friend. Why? Why do you want to be my friend? What are you trying to sell? Are you a multi-level marketing guy? Are you trying to give me religion, or what are you trying to do? And all the skeptical eyes come out. You know, like man, okay. So many people put themselves out there as life coaches with little or no training. Yeah, and that's true. There isn't even is there a license for life coaching? Probably not. People run the race but don't always finish very well. Yeah. That sucks. It's true though. Dragon says he watched a lot of my failures in pickpocketing and weapons training and a few other areas that I will not mention. And then did he train you though? That's the thing. Like, did he go through the 5M steps here when you were doing that, right? Problem with using mental health professional as your mentor though is that they know all your weaknesses, none of your strengths, and probably nothing about your job. Well, that's the thing. They are very focused, right? Like a life coach, a counselor, whatever, psychologist, right? You're supposed to open up a bit more too and kind of share. But the downside of that is you only share what you want to share, right? I've known plenty of people that go to counseling, and I've talked to them. They were my friends, right? I'm like, how'd counseling go? Well, it's pretty good. We had a good session, whatever. Like, did you tell them about the big thing you did? Oh no, I didn't. I didn't really bring that up. Okay, well, have you mentioned you're not sleeping? You're paranoid out of your mind. You've been overindulging in alcohol. Did you mention any of that? Oh no, I didn't want to bring that up. All right, so maybe that's not going to help. Like your counseling's not going to help unless you open up to them. And they can only work with what they've got, right? He didn't have me repeat what he said when I was pickpocketing because I couldn't. My voice is already saying something else, usually apologizing for bumping into somebody or whatever. Yeah. Oh, it was like a phrase. There was like a salesman phrase that he used. That's interesting. That was actually I took training to be a salesman. That felt shady, man. I hated that. I worked for a stereo company who sold all kinds of electronics, car stereos and TVs and everything. I was in the computer section, obviously, and I helped repair computers, and I tried to sell them, and I was a terrible salesman, but I was consistent. I definitely wasn't trying to steal anything, and I was mature. I didn't go out and do stupid things. Because I was in like first year seminary, so the level of stupid I'd acquired is fairly low at the time, and so they wanted to groom me for management. They're like, okay, we want you to be a manager, but here's the problem: you suck at selling things. I'm like, yeah, I know. I like helping people, and I like telling them what they need, not try to upsell them to something they don't need. If you're gonna let me discount things, I'm gonna discount things. Yeah, I know, I'm bad at selling. I get it. They're like, well, you need to take sales training. Go take sales training. And so I did, and like they had all kinds of shady things that you could do, and like how to fast track or trust, and how to build a quick relationship, and how to manipulate and like try to get them to buy it on credit or buy it without wanting it, to see if they'll just try it out, and half the time they'll just keep it. I felt gross afterwards, and I'm so glad I didn't have to stay there. I felt really terrible after that because I'm like, man, I hate manipulation and lies of any kind, but the idea of having someone like legitimately work so hard to man, yeah, just one of the ways that you bump into somebody. That's the one I've seen in the movies. Dragonheart, that's the only one I've seen in the movies. Please help me serve the online community full time, no login, one-time monthly tiers. How did that work? Did you copy paste that? Because you're not, or did it come through as a mod? I should go do that today. I'm gonna write that down. Chatbot, YouTube. There you go. Boom. God, thank you very much for doing that. I appreciate it. Yeah, if you appreciate what I'm up to, check out my coffee. It's you get ministry updates, and you get all kinds of personal updates, and then you could even get my books, and you can get all kinds of fun stuff over there. Yeah. Well, that's the talk. Like I've got the way that I'm doing it now, the way that the system is going to work, at least in my mind, is I go from the end of this stream, and then I go over to Twitch, right? And so my plan is basically to do it at 2 o'clock. And it's I when I was planning this, I'm like, okay, 1:30 is often when we make the big changeover. But I'm like, well, if we can stretch it till 2, then, you know, having 2 hours online or whatever would be better. And then we can start at 2 on the other place. Or if I end early, do I now wait till 2? And then I get a half an hour break? That's kind of weird. Who takes a half an hour break? Everybody who has a real job. I know, but I'm just saying. So yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? You guys are all blue people. Do you think that would be a good idea should I jump over there right away? Or should I wait till 2, or should I try to stretch something out here? Because this is the one part of the stream where I'm really confused what I'm supposed to do now. My instinct is just be like, thanks for coming, click. But what are your thoughts? Eventually you can get to the point where you don't even need a distraction, especially if the person puts their wallet in their back pocket with the money facing upwards. No kidding, right? Yeah. I used to put my wallet in my back pocket, but I never do that anymore. For 2 reasons. 1, I was told that bad for your spine, and 2, I was told that the people can take it. So I put it in my front pocket. Why not 1:30? I don't know. It was literally arbitrary. I just didn't want to. My worry was that I was going to cut off the conversation here to get to the game, which is not what I want to do. Take a short break, eat, etc. Actually, you know what? That's not a terrible idea. It seems weird because it doesn't feel it's not grind. You know, that's a really leisurely, intelligent way to do. Which doesn't seem to me be the streamer way of doing things. That's mean, but true. You know, it's true. It's like, no, it's the grind set, man. We got to do 7 hours at a time, nonstop, no bathroom breaks. Wow, look at how great I am. You know, but the idea of like do an hour and a half of stream and then jump and then take a little break. You know, eat, set up your chat bot on YouTube, then go live on Twitch. There's an idea. Fix this stream first. I really wish somebody would have subscribed because it's a really cool animation. I wanted to show it off, but you know what? Fine. I can wait. We can wait. Maybe it'll happen tomorrow. Maybe 1:30 to start off with. Maybe as more people find the channel and the conversation grows, you can aim for 2 p.m. Yeah, and that's it. Because there's only 10 people here, the conversation isn't nearly as flowy. So yeah, I totally agree. Oh, I'll tell you what. Okay, that's cool. I will. I'll tell you what. I'll end stream then. I'll shut her down right now, and then you guys can. We'll head over to Twitch. If you have your alerts on, you'll know when I come on. So I'll take a little break. I'll eat something. I'll fix, and I'll come back at 2 o'clock over there. That's the plan anyway. Let's see how it goes. When you make the chat bots, mention liking the stream. It's underestimated how it affects the algorithm. Okay, I'll write that down. Blah, blah, blah. Pencils. I had one because I wrote something else down earlier. What did I do? Man, I haven't moved. It's in the same desk. What was the? Yeah, you said like. Okay, cool. See if I can automate that. Okay, thank you for coming. I will see you over there. I really appreciate you guys, all the blue people. I really appreciate you, and Lizzie. Thank you for being here. Very, very kind of you. Everybody who lurked, I appreciate that very much. It really is encouraging to have some people here. I was a little worried that there was only going to be nobody, but thank you. Thank you for coming. I will see you at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over on the Twitch.